John.
And Ronnie.
Back for another video. And what's on the agenda today, baby?
Today we're talking about Daniel Penny, I guess you would call him an ex-Marine vet. What are you doing?
Just not shaking it.
I'm not shaking a screen.
You are.
Okay. No, you're making me shake. Sorry about that. So anyway, back to the serious part. We're talking about Daniel Penny. He was a Marine vet, and he is accused of choking a man to death in the chokehold position. Like
Where?
I said that in New York City on a subway.
When?
Let's see, May. So I think that was actually March or April of last year.
Okay.
Yes. Good statistical input on my end.
Because people
Yes.
may not have even followed the story.
See, I know stuff.
So much stuff going on in this world.
Yeah, I try not to let that out there because I was told once by a very wise man that if you know too much, people expect too much from you, and that puts a lot of pressure on
It doesn't put pressure on you. John would rather go around acting like a bumbling idiot than to show somebody that he has sense.
Not
to me, it makes no sense.
It's homegrown.
Whatever.
Okay.
Go on.
So let's get to this story. So, anyway, the vet basically had choked a man to death, and he is facing charges of manslaughter. I think that's what they call it. And he could get up to, what did they say, 18 years to life. 19 years to life.
Right, manslaughter. Is it first or second?
I want to say it's first.
I think it's second.
Okay. Well, if you knew it was second, why do you say it was second?
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't stop slamming
Ronnie
things,
always trying to ruffle the feathers.
I am. I play devil's advocate whenever I can. Now, go on.
Stop trying to ruffle the feathers of the everyday working man.
Grow some feathers, and I'll ruffle them. Now, go on.
Okay. So, the question that we ask is, I guess that they ask him, rather, is, why didn't you let go? So, what I would say is, in that situation, and a lot of times it happens fast. I've never been in anything that serious, but I have been in situations where things seem to turn real fast. And when stuff seems to turn real fast, sometimes you have very few things, time to actually think about it. So to the question of why wouldn't you let go, my reply would have been because I felt like my life was threatened. And your reply would be?
Do you want me to take this step by step? John.
Take it step by step.
Gets into the video.
Okay. No. Go ahead. Continue on. Look at the look. She got a mean look.
It's because, do you want to just give your whole opinion about this whole thing and then I'll give mine?
My opinion is, I think,
and then we can have a debate.
I think
we're going to debate.
My opinion is, I think probably that I wouldn't be able to convict him. Basically, because in that type of situation, and you always got to look at intent. To me, intent is a big part of this. If he got up that morning, got a gun, decided he was going to go out and shoot up a restaurant or a library, a grocery store, to me, 100%, the intent was there. He was found guilty. I have no problem with putting him away for a long time. But I always have to look at myself, and I have to look at that realm in two different things. I have to look at it, was the intent there? No, I don't think he intended to choke a man to death on the subway that day. And the other point I would probably bring up is just the overall view of this man. He had a criminal record, which me and Ronnie had watched a couple videos too, but they didn't actually say that in the video. But he had a criminal record. He was living on the street for a long time, which doesn't make him a criminal, but he was convicted of assaulting people in different places in New York City. So he had that going for him. He had some mental conditions that they didn't actually disclose because of the laws. I guess we can't talk about everybody's mental situation, but he did have some mental issues. But just the intent that he did have charges against him. He was charged with assault in different times. And to me, when I look at the other person involved in this, where we know that the intent was definitely there on his part to either hurt somebody or assault them, I think he was carrying a club. Because I think in that one video that we watched, the guy actually told him, he says, put down the club. So I don't know if he had a cane or what he had, but he was threatening to hurt people. And again, if the intent on the ex-vet was to go out and just hurt people, then I say, okay, well, he's definitely guilty. But to me, he when he got on the train that day, he probably never thought in a million years he'd be chokeholding somebody. So with all that being said, what did they say in the O.J. Simpson thing? Well, they said if the glove don't fit, you have to quit. But I would just say you have to quit. You can't convict a man. Not of that. Now, Ronnie, please tell us your point. Because I know it's going to be totally against my point.
Doesn't have to be against.
Yes.
But my issue is with this. And I don't agree with John. I'm quite sure he didn't get up that day and think that he was going to be choking somebody out on the subway. But let's just break it down. So you're in NYC. People that ride those subways know that crap happens on the subways all the time. Crap happens on our subways. I've been on the subway where people have rushed in and started fighting. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, you just either hope you're by a door where you can jump off real quick if they stop, or you just go somewhere and sit or get up and go to another car. You know, people are experiencing this. People are experiencing stuff when they're walking down the street. So, you know, which is one of the reasons that, you know, the world's become so crazy that we decided to conceal carry. But as John makes a point about the conceal carry thing, if we're ever in a situation where we feel we have to, this is totally on not the side of like deadly force or whatever, because I mean it turned out that it was deadly, but let's just say we're in a situation, we're in a Target, and somebody comes in a Target and they start shooting up the place, and both John and I are carrying, and we pull out our gun and we start shooting at the person who's shooting at everybody else, and you know 4 or 5 innocent bystanders get hit by, you know, our guns. They always say, or John's always telling me, well, you know, we're going to get that insurance that's going to say that, hey, it wasn't intended, or you didn't intend to hit anybody, but you don't open up fire in the, you know, situation where there are people or other people are around that can get hit, even though you're trying to save people's lives. So my thing was, this guy, granted, he didn't know what his situation is, but that's just it. You go into these things not knowing what somebody else's situation was. So what I read up on this guy, or what I was able to find out, was his mom was killed by his stepfather when he was 14. He suffered from PSTD. He was schizophrenic. That alone was schizophrenic, just forget about it. And he had some other mental health issues. So the problem is there are so many people walking the streets that have these mental health issues. Average people don't know. You know, you used to be able to say, oh, well, he's talking to himself on the street or whatever, you know, he's crazy, or whatever the case may be. But he has these mental issues. You know, he's riding up and down the subways. Apparently he was a street performer, so people knew him, you know. So what, I didn't see anything that said he had a bat or something in his hand or whatever. This guy said he was just yelling and getting in people's faces. Okay, so he decides to take him down. And he takes him down, and as a Marine, he should have known how to address the situation where it didn't necessarily have to become to a deadly force type thing. You know, is there no one else on the subway that's going to help him once he got the guy down? Nobody else could help him. You know, sometimes you get 2 or 3 people to sit on somebody and do until you can get the cops on there or something. Unless he had a gun or a knife or something and was going after people, I think 2 or 3 people could have been able to put him down in a situation where this man maybe wouldn't have lost his life. And it's what makes it so sad is because it's a mental health issue. There's so many people walking around with mental health issues, and people just don't know, and they fall through the cracks, and nobody's caring about them until they end up dead on the street somewhere. So, do I think that this guy did the right thing? Part of me thinks that, yeah, okay, somebody maybe should have stepped in, but they didn't have to go that far. No. And I think a lot of people think when they get into that situation, oh, I'm saving somebody, you know, of course, adrenaline and everything's running, but it doesn't always have to go down to that. He should, as a Marine, he should have known when to stop, as far as I'm concerned. The average person, like if John starts choking somebody out, I'm not so sure he's going to know when to stop. If I start choking somebody out, I don't know if I'm going to know when to stop. But he's a Marine. They train them to do these things. Not choke people out, but you have training more so than the average Joe Schmo walking on the street. So should it have gotten that far? No, he should have known. They do those type of exercises where they're doing that because you may be going into enemy territory. You know, so I feel as a Marine, he had more training in that than the average person, and he should have known when to stop. And, you know, other people sit around. People want to film things, but people don't want to help. I'm quite sure there was some other able-bodied person, 2 or 3 on that train that could have got that man under control and just hit that stop thing so they knew to call the cops, and somebody could have came in and got that thing under control. So, to me, all the time, you know, people saying, oh, well, you know, he was fearing for his life, or, you know, he was fearing for everybody else's life. I don't know if these people were really fearing for their life. They may have got up and walked to another car. You know, I'm playing devil's advocate, but I'm just thinking sometimes there are other situations that you know, in a situation, there are other avenues you can take that it doesn't always have to be ended up in some kind of deadly force or whatever. You know, unfortunately, you know, this man lost his life. Unfortunately, that guy thought that he was, you know, his life was in danger. I don't know, but I just know that the thing that resonates with me is the fact that this man had, you know, mental issues, and he loses his life because of that, because he falls through the system. That's the biggest question, or that's the biggest problem here, that we don't take care of people who have mental issues, and they're just living on the streets or just walking the streets with all these problems, and nobody cares about it. They'd rather sit around and film it, or, you know, put it on TikTok for clicks and stuff like that, and, you know, people are suffering. So that's how I feel about that one.
That's the cricket sound.
I don't care. I said bring it on.
I don't know. Again, part of the problem is when you look at some of these videos and stuff, you always get the people with the cameras, and they got their... What did I do with my phone? Oh, it's over here. You always got the people with their cameras on their phones, and they're doing this. But everybody wants to record, but nobody wants to step in and do anything. So when finally somebody does step in and try to do the right thing, which I'm not saying the right thing was to kill the man, but again, when things escalate like that, you never know how they're going to go. But again, I don't think the man should get life. I don't think the man should get 19 years. I mean, to me, and I know probably a lot of you are going to say, well, he killed a man. But to me, if you were going to give him any time, you know, I might give him a couple years in probation. Because to me, to take 19 years to life from this man, because that's basically the sentence that he's facing, I just think it's a little bit crazy, because again, there's so many people that will stand there with a camera and just record rather than do the right thing and try to stop something when it's happening or before it happens, and they just kind of just let it go. So to me, like I said, that's just promoting bad business. Now you can tell we're a Second Amendment family because my phone's going off and it's gunfire! That's my car. I'll call him back later. Let me get this. Hold on. Hello?
We're going to pause this.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. We had to pause it because John got a phone call in the middle of our video.
Yeah. Expensive truck repair.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what you were saying before.
Yeah. So anyway, to me, though, I think to give a man that type of sentence for something that wasn't intended. Like I said, I think them life sentences, we should give them to people, again, who go out, take a gun, and just go out just to shoot people.
I mean, granted, you could look at this maybe extenuating circumstances. Do I feel that he need to get off? I think it definitely needs to be a trial, and I do think he needs to be held accountable for what he did, because after all, he did kill somebody, whether you meant it or not. So there are people out there to do that to get less time, unfortunately, and they meant to kill you. Yeah, they're shooting up people and they get off. So I think that he needs to get something. I don't know what would be appropriate. You spend several years in jail and then get probation or something, or get off or whatever.
Yeah.
With that being said, but again, I think that as a trained service person, he would have known better than someone just on the subway, just trying to defend themselves, for whatever the case may be. And he, all he said was he was just getting in people's faces or whatever. People do stupid stuff like that. Me, if I'm on the subway and I see somebody acting crazy, unfortunately, I'm going to get up and I'm going to move, or I'm going to get off that train. And like I said, I've ridden the trains, haven't ridden New York trains, but I can't imagine their trains being any worse than ours, because some stupid stuff happened on our subways and our elevated.
But
so
let me ask you another question on this part.
Because you never rode the subways and elevated.
No, I ride a pickup truck. So, do you think if you're going to hold this man responsible for this, then my question is, should the actual New York City be held responsible? Because obviously, if this man had a criminal record, they knew he had medical issues, should somebody have taken him off the street? And I'm not saying put him in jail, but should he have been put someplace where he could get help?
Well, that's what I said. How many people fall through the cracks?
Yeah. And what about his family members? He obviously has family members. Nobody thought maybe we need to put him in someplace to get him some help?
See, the issue becomes with that is, family members can only do so much. If you're of age and you're out there and you're doing stuff, of course, your family, is
they can have you put into a medical facility by taking your ass to court.
They can, but do people take it that far?
So sometimes you have to.
Sometimes you do, but on the average, are people going to go that far? Probably not.
But my whole thing is, I think if you're going to hold this man accountable, then you have to hold the system accountable, and you have to hold basically his family accountable. Because there's other people in this that didn't do nothing to let this get to the point where it got to.
Yeah, like I said, fell through the system. It's a systemic issue at this point. And it's all over. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, somebody lost their life over. People lose their life every day over stuff like that. And you always hear, oh, that person had a mental problem, and things like that. Because it's almost like the hospitals or wherever they were just turned these people back out in the streets. And, there's no help for them.
Yeah.
And they're homeless and they're trying to deal. So that should be something that's on the ticket.
All right.
For the presidency or something. Do something about this. Mental health is a really strong issue that's going on out here, and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, like I said, I think there's a lot of other. That's why I don't think that this man should get a life sentence or even 19 years. Like I said, if you have to convict him, did he kill the guy? Yeah, he did kill the guy. Was it self-defense? Because from what I understand, self-defense is just basically, he wouldn't, if he did, because somebody did say put down the club. Now, I didn't see a club in that video, but somebody did say put down the club. But if that man didn't swing and hit somebody, but he had intent, like that's the equivalent if I was coming at you with a crowbar, but I didn't hit you, but you shot me and killed me. The intent was still there that I had the crowbar in my hand and I was threatening you.
Yeah, but we always have this argument about that. You're saying that What was that we were going on and on about? And I said, oh, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to shoot you. And you said something like, well, you'd be going to jail or whatever. And I said, it's all about how I feel, my intent on the whole thing. I don't know what that conversation was we had. We were talking about something one time and we got into it because John said, well, they'll just be dragging you off to jail. And I said, they would have to prove that I didn't feel threatened. And that's very, very hard to do. I forget what we were talking about.
I think
that was a good one.
Ronnie wanted to shoot somebody with stealing her car or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Oh, okay. If I'm getting carjacked and somebody comes up and they try to steal my car and I shoot them, and not necessarily kill them, but I shoot them.
There's a difference. I thought we were talking about somebody out there breaking your steering column, you coming out and shooting them. If you were getting carjacked and somebody if somebody sticks a gun in the car like this, you're all to go shoot that person.
Yeah, I don't know what you heard with that conversation we were having, but that was it. I was saying I was getting carjacked.
Because I think,
and you were saying I wouldn't have the right to shoot them.
I think what brought that up is because Rob up the street, that's when they tried to break into his wife's car. I think it was girlfriend's at the time. But they try to break into her car, and Rob has guns, our next door neighbor, and he said he would like to go out there and take one of his guns out and shoot the guy, but the cop told him, he said, if you had shot him, we would have had to arrest you. I think that's where that came from. Because if you told me a carjack normally
but that's what I turned it around
either got a gun or a knife.
Right, but that's what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about just coming out shooting somebody willy-nilly.
Yeah.
I was saying that if I'm in my car and somebody tries to take my car away from me, I'm going to feel threatened. Right. So I'm going to shoot. And you were telling me that wouldn't have been right. And I'm like, I don't understand why. They're trying to take my car. They could be trying to take my life. If they try to get in the car with me, and they got a gun on me, their intent is not to. Yeah. I think that was it. I was like, they're not trying to take me out to dinner.
Yeah, I don't think that's the exact.
That was it, because I remember this conversation. It got so heated. I was in there talking to my mom about it because I'm like, he telling me that if somebody tried to get in the car and carjack me, I don't have the right to shoot them.
If the story, if it was basically what he went through.
That's not it,
That's different.
That's not it. John always trying to swing things around.
No,
he doesn't. You know what the problem is? I'm telling you right now. You know what the problem is? John doesn't listen.
Yeah, that's.
So when we're having these conversations, his head is just stuck on what the issue was that we were talking about, and when I change it to something else, he doesn't hear that. No. He just goes
there
on.
There was more. No, there was more to that.
No, it wasn't. That's exactly what it was.
I don't think so.
Anyway, we're gonna end this video because he don't want to cop to what he did or said. So, yeah, let us know in the comments how you feel about this.
About carjacking. You shouldn't do it.
Yeah, and also John with his crazy ideas. Let us know in the video, how you feel about this. What's his name? Daniel Penny thing. And
Jordan Neely.
And the state of Jordan Neely, I think, and the state of the the whole welfare system and how you're taking care of people and the mental health and all of that. So let us know in the comments, how you feel about that. We'd love to know. And
smash that like button and subscribe, please.
Sure, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. What do we say?
God bless you all.
Peace and love.